In today's video, I want to continue on with the series of Inner Earth and what it's all about and how it's been hidden from us. And this is the underworld tradition that's so ancient, and it was wiped out through organized religion, but it is the path of true enlightenment in my experience. So Inner Earth, there's a part of Inner Earth where it is the realized potential of what the surface Earth can be. And what prevents that realization from happening is us, humans. And so when we can balance ourselves, when we can realize that we're not separate from Earth, and we realize that we came into existence through Earth and all the substances of Earth that we are made of. And we treat it like our mother, then the surface Earth, the potential of what it can be, will be realized. But it is our job. It's humanity's job. So when we evolve ourselves, it evolves the surface of the Earth. When we realize that all the energy and regeneration and the ability for us to grow in our bones and sustain life and keep going is given to us through the Earth. If you don't eat the food that comes from the Earth, you're eating Earth. When you don't drink the water that is provided to us from the Earth, you will die. And people don't seem to see that relationship, that you're constantly eating Earth or drinking Earth, and that's what's keeping you going. And people don't seem to honor the fact that Earth, our mother, is constantly giving us energy and substance. And it's a sad state of affairs that we're in. So what the secret is that the hidden truth of everything is that all of this, all of the stars and the universe and the expansiveness of it all, it's all inside the Earth. And as that saying goes, as above, so below, people don't really seem to understand that, and it's very simple. They try to read too much into it. And also, like for you tarot fans, the Magician card, it's telling you right here. This is from Pagan Otherworlds. But pointing to everything above here and everything, pointing down to the Earth. It's inside. As above here on the surface and up above here, it's down below. Inside the Earth. It's a clue. These ancient traditions have left us clues, but you won't understand them unless you have the experience yourself. And I even found in the Bible, in Ephesians, it talks about how Christ descended into the lower parts of the earth. So it's not denied in the Bible. There's a lot of shamanism and ancient traditions in the Bible that seem to just get gleamed over. And I'll make a video of all the shamanic things that are portrayed in the Bible, but because people don't know shamanic practices, they don't see it, they can't see it that way. But it's really interesting, so I'll make a video on that. So each land, so I've traveled a lot, and each land has their own inhabitants underneath the land. And some of the times they're ancestors that have transcended this human realm, and they are working with the land. There's gods, I believe, because I've met them, that reside over certain lands and lineages of those lands. So there is a tie between lands and bloodlines, but they're not like we are. So they work with each other. They're not like how we are, like, you know, I'm of this bloodline and you're of that culture, and, you know, we keep it separated. They're not like that, but they do have a tie to certain areas and certain lands. And when I travel and I do have experiences where they communicate with me, it is a different, I hate to say race, but it is a different race of being. But they all work together, because I also, even when I'm not in those lands, I will have gods or beings of other cultures come and work with me. So yes, that there are certain lands, they have ties to certain practices and beings and gods, but there's a unity there. There's a working together of it, just like we can do on the surface if we ever decided to, and stop the racism and division between races, and that we all can teach each other and give each other wisdom that may not be in our culture, for the benefit of everybody. So it's very powerful, this practice of realizing that everything that you need is, and the way to universal freedom, instead of linearly in a linear sense, like building rockets and trying to go there and there, you can get to it much quicker going into inner earth. When I go into inner earth, there's stars everywhere. There's not a lot of light, like daylight, is because it's always kind of twilight when I go there. And it's because matter isn't separated from its inner light there. Is the only thing I can explain it as. Like here we sometimes, and I know a lot of humans have cut themselves off from their inner light. But there, everything emits a light. So they don't need a source outside of themselves to give them light, if that makes sense. I don't see like a sun. I do see stars, but I don't see a sun or a moon or anything, because everything, plants, trees, everything emits a light. So you can see everything, but it is always kind of twilight there. And so you generate your own light instead of needing a source outside of yourself for light, if that makes sense. And you realize that you no longer feel separate, and it just is so empowering. And so religion knew this. organized religion that came in and knew that these ancient cultures there was a freedom there, and knew that the earth was their mother, and that we worked in harmony. But it's hard to control people that way when they are self-empowered. And so the church, listen, the church wouldn't have gone to such great lengths of burning books and killing off people that knew this wisdom if it wasn't powerful. If it wasn't powerful, they would just be like, let them play and believe in their gods or whatever. But no, they had to destroy everything because they couldn't control these people when they were in touch with their power and the power that comes from earth. You know, they didn't need anybody else to tell them how to live their life because they were already in harmony with it. And the beings that I interact with, when I first started going, like I said, I was initiated by these beings. So that happens a lot in shamanic initiation. You aren't looking for it. I had no interest in it. I was not spiritual at the time, but I had a shamanic initiation. Now, was it an agreement that I had before I incarnated? I don't know. I know that it does run in bloodlines, and that could have been a reason. Or I know that because of this shift or whatever, they are looking for others that have this purity of heart, that are honest, that have compassion, that don't purposely manipulate others for their gain. Part of this path is to be allowed in, I guess is what I want to say, is that you do have to have a pure heart, and you have to be very honest, and you have to be emotionally mature, and you have to be willing to work on your unconscious issues. So when I was initiated, I was not nearly worked through my unconscious issues as I have now, but it was enough for my initiation. So you don't have to be perfect. And if you weren't initiated by the gods, another way to get there is through practices. It's through mantra. It's through listening to me seething or light language. It's dedication to the path. It's discipline. It's more than anything working through your unconscious issues. And being a good human, really, is you have to perfect being human before you are allowed into these other realms to experience what I am experiencing. You have to master being human, and this realm, I've said this so many times, you have to accept the fact that you're human and you're not from another planet, or, you know, just accept the fact that you are human. You're here on earth, and you have to embrace the human experience. You have to realize that being human is divine. All matter is divine. You know, a lot of New Age they just want to escape this realm, and that's not going to help. You have to first accept the fact that you're human and be a good human, and things will start opening up for you. But most of all, what I realize is that you have to be brave. And that is like the video I said, dying in battle. Because when this path, you confront your fears. So when you go in, before I was admitted into this realm of this perfected earth potential of where we can be, I had to work through my unconscious issues. So I would still go into earth, but you go to a place where all your unconscious issues are reflected back to you. And you have to battle through your fears. And like I said, it's not for the weak. You have to be extremely brave and willing to die to get to that place where I knew that there was a place that I wanted to go because I had snippets of it. And I had these beings that would come to me and I wanted to interact with them more, but I had to work through my unconscious issues. And it's so scary to work through those issues because you have to confront so much pain. But I was willing to do it anyway. And sometimes you have to cut people out of your life. You have to have really good boundaries. And give it everything you have. Be willing to die to get there. And I did. I had to die before. You can die before you physically die. And I did. I had my life reviewed, like you hear people talking about, sat before a screen. So when I go to transition, hopefully now, because I've died before I died, I don't have to go to other realms to play out or work out my unconscious issues and be reincarnated again. So another thing I want to address too is just because you physically die does not mean you're going to burst into a being of light and sprout wings and everything's okay and you just reincarnate again. I've had people in my life where they're just like, I'm just going to do it anyway, and you know, not verbalizing it, but just go ahead and keep hurting people, whatever, and because I'll just come back and try it again. And that's not how it works. When you die, whatever your consciousness is, you will experience that after death in inner earth. There's realms where you go, and it's you punishing yourself. It's you playing out your unconscious issues. And when you come back, because you will, to balance the karma of the things you caused, most of the time your life is more difficult to do that balancing. It's not easier. So I always tell people, take care of your unconscious issues now. And because you're going to play them out anyway. You're going to time loop in the underworld until you're ready to make a change. And then you'll come back to the surface earth. The surface earth is where it is all done. So you might as well do it now. You always have to come back to surface earth to try to rectify and balance the scales and work through your unconscious issues. It's done here. It's not going to be done after you die. Yes, you'll torture yourself if you need to, or you'll go to a place. It's wherever your consciousness is when you die. That's where you'll go. It'll all be reflected back to you. So some places won't be as bad as other places. But it's the beings there will assist you as long as you allow them. Some people are probably so torturing themselves they don't even want any help, and the beings will be patient and just let you do what you need to do. And when you're ready, they'll give you a life review and you'll decide how you're going to try to rectify the unconscious issues you weren't able to do in this life. And the beings that I interact with, they are very different types. And It's not a lot like what the New Age portrays. Everything isn't, it's not like this. It's not all beings are like oozing love out. It's a different, it's not human love, so it's hard for me to explain. I've had some beings where they're extremely unconditional loving, but there's not an attachment there. There's no like desire to consume you, and it's very detached, and it's a peaceful love. It's not a yearning, desirous, human love like we have. It's very detached. I don't know how else to say it, but it is unconditional. And I've interacted with other beings where they were very neutral. And they're just doing some type of energy exchange with you. But all of them look very humanoid. And I have interacted with some that were like half animal, half human. And I think that that's what was portrayed on cave paintings, because I think at one time there was no veil, and we were interacting with these beings even on the surface earth until some event happened, or the Yuga or the Baktun or whatever age we were in. There was something in the galaxy, or we just cut ourselves off because of organized religion. We cut ourselves off from them. Not really sure what happened there, but I feel like I'm all over the place with this video. But I just want to let you know that it's a very ancient tradition, and it was hidden from us because of organized religion. But there are a lot of, in the Bible, references to it. They did acknowledge it. So I'll make a video on that. So like I said, if you want to get there, and they will pay attention when you're doing mantra or ritual or ceremony or honoring the earth, going to nature, picking up trash, being kind to other humans, being honest to other humans. They will pay attention. And if you work with me, this is just a fact. This is not me bragging or anything like that. But when you work with someone who has been to the underworld, they have the ability to affect the people they're working with, even unintentionally. People that have been around me have started having experiences when they don't know who I am or what I do. Their life starts to shift and change. And they start having realizations. It's just part of the underworld. You bring back something with you. And that's the whole point. Is when you go to the underworld, you bring back something with you. You've changed. And you affect the surface world. And so they want to interact with as many surface world humans, because when they do, it affects the surface world. Just by you having that interaction, you can affect other people without even really doing anything. Just your presence. It's something that you carry. And that's just the fact. And they want us to evolve. Because when we evolve, they evolve. It's always a constant evolution. Some of these beings used to be human, and they transcended the human realm, and now they're guides for surface humans. And so that's our next level. And then they go on, when we evolve, if a guide has been with me and I went through the evolution stage, then they get to evolve. So it's constantly, we're moving and evolving all the time. So it helps them also when we evolve. So that's why they're really rooting for us and they really want to help us. But you have to do things to get their attention. And like I said, work with someone that has been there. Just interacting with them will help. Doing mantra, doing ritual, doing ceremony, listening to the language that I speak, if you've had that. I speak it when I go into the inner realms. And take some type of action. There's a lot of portals in this world where it's thinner. And if you can get to places where the nature is wild, that is a really powerful place. There's a lot of powerful places. And it might not be where you think, where temples are and everything like that. I find it's more wild places and places that have a lot of granite. For some reason, those places are really powerful. So I'm sorry if this is all over the place, but it's such a vast subject that I really don't know where to start or end. And that's just how the world is. Everything's cyclical and it's like a big soup. So that's kind of how I'm speaking. So it is what it is. All right, so that's it for today, and I will talk to you on the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.